Welcome. I'm Zeba from Kindergarten Cafe, and today I'm answering all your questions about decodable readers. I don't know about you, but I'm hearing that phrase a lot this year, which is exciting because, spoiler alert, I think they're awesome and very helpful. But if you don't know much about them, these are definitely the questions that you're going to want to have answers to. So I'm here to help. The first question would be, why should I use decodable books? Children really need explicit phonics instruction in order to unlock the code of their reading. Some children just come into school knowing how to read, and they might not need that explicit phonics instruction, but all children benefit from it. And for the majority of kids, they really do need that explicit instruction in these are the sounds of the language. This is how they work when you put them together. And decodable books give students a text that they can read themselves based on the phonics skills, the phonics lessons they have learned. They are decodable, meaning you can sound them out. So often in the books that I have still in my classroom library that I've been used to using for years and years and years, you give a very simple text, a very simple sentence structure and a pattern. But when you actually look closely at these books, the words in the sentences cannot be sounded out. Words like. For a kindergartner that doesn't know the silent E rule yet, that's not decodable. Slide, again, there's silent E, there's a blend. They can't figure that out yet. Truck has a CK at the end, and they don't know what that sound is yet. And so for beginning of the year kindergartner, those books aren't decodable. And so decodable books are used to help students practice the phonics instruction that they're getting and apply it to reading. And it makes them be very independent and successful with their reading. I have seen such amazing progress in my students this year by using decodable books. They are no longer guessing at words. They are no longer making silly mistakes. They're really focused on, I can sound out every single one of these words, and so I'm going to. And what's great about the decodable books is that as they learn more phonics skills, the books get harder and harder. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Another question you might be asking, and I've kind of addressed a little bit, is do all students really need decodable readers? Well, it's the same with do all students need that explicit phonics instruction to be able to read? Some kids don't. They come in knowing that stuff, but all kids benefit from it. So are your students that come in reading from, reading chapter books, do they need decodable readers? No, they don't need them. They can read books independently. And remember, a big goal of having a decodable reader is for kids to be able to read it independently and successfully. So do they need it? No. But you can find decodable books that focus on different phonics skills that they might need to learn, because in their progression of phonics and literacy, they might have mastered the kindergarten level. That's true. They might be reading chapter books, but do they know their vowel digraphs or diphthongs? Right? Where is their rule, the phonics skill that they are missing? And then you could find a decodable text for them to practice that skill, to highlight that skill. So with my students that are already reading, you can see here, I've sort of elevated it to them in order to have them find short vowel sounds. So they weren't just ready to just sound out the words, they were ready to really identify short vowel sounds. And then we can go from there to find long vowel sounds if they're ready for that. So do all my students in my class get decodable readers every single time I do them, or in their book bags? Are their book bags filled with decodable readers? No, not all of them. But the kids that really need to practice sounding out words do get them. The majority of the class gets them. And everyone at one point has a chance to work with me on decodable books. Everyone can benefit from it. That's my opinion. So I talked a little bit about how the progression of decodable books should match the progression of your phonics instruction. And this is sort of a very quick example. And if you want a similar progression for phonics, I do have a free guide for you that has a scope and sequence for skills to teach in kindergarten and first grade in phonics. But the idea would be it would go from short vowel sounds with like a one vowel focus to mixing those up to have like all the short vowels in one book. But it's just CVC, consonant, vowel, consonant words. Then you start adding in some blends and digraphs as you're teaching them to your whole class and talking about those sounds and the spelling of them. Then you could start adding in some silent E words, R controlled vowel words. Again, this is going hand in hand with your phonics instruction. So these are some of the books that I've made that I just wanted to highlight because they're the ones that I'm using in my classroom. And I made them to follow this progression that I just showed you to match what my students are learning in phonics. So I've been finding them extremely helpful with my class that, in small groups, we take a book and it matches what we're learning about in phonics and they read it and they get to practice it. So if you're interested in these books, the link is below. If you're looking for some more physical copies, because those ones you have to print out, if you're looking for actual physical books that you don't have to print out yourself, these are some of my favorites, and I have all the links in the blog post for where to get them. And these are ones that I am actually using in my classroom. So I would highly recommend these. I definitely love the Flyleaf books and Bob's books and anything that's linked here, I really use and I really recommend. If you're looking for an example of a lesson, I definitely think you should check out the blog post so you can see how I map out the lesson. But the idea is that I warm up with some kind of phonics related activity to the phonics skill that the book is teaching about. So in this case, I had kids making short U sounds, short U words, and then they wrote down those short U words. And those words were often, not always, the words that were found in the book. So it was sort of warming them up to the phonics skill in the book that they were about to be reading. Then we read the book, talk about the book, and then they can go off and color the book, or they can read another book. They can take that home. They can keep it at school to keep practicing. So that's how I do my decodable book lessons in small groups. And if you have any other questions about decodable books, because I wanted to answer all your questions. So if there's any unanswered questions, please put a comment down below and let me know so I can answer them for you. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.